moving it down after Matt. Thanks everybody for coming, and thanks Matt for that introduction. On my bachelor party many years ago, we went down to Palm Springs. It happened to be the Bob Hope Classic was being played down there. We all went down to the golf tournament. It's a pro-am. We were all stationed kind of around the 13th or 14th hole, and after one foursome came off, it had Clint Eastwood happened to be in it, and he came walking up and saw our group of about 15 guys standing there. And we got guys in t-shirts and shorts and holding styrofoam coolers. I think one guy had a sombrero on. And Eastwood kind of smiled at us and shook his head and he said, well, what did they do, empty out a pool hall? I look out on this group tonight, and but I say that with great affection. Aside from Matt Miller here, this has to be the least pretentious group to ever. So I'm happy you're all here. Great groups from all different parts of my life. There's some Steiner's softball players here, and of course the Overlords are here, just showing up for 30 years now, Michael. Randy Green, my good friend, has come all the way from New York for this event, which is something to say. I mean, such great friends that I've had, he's come all the way out here. That's almost as big as an event as the Mullen family coming from Westlake all the way out. But in truth, really, there's people here from my St. Cecilia's friends all the way back from when I was a student there to the great St. Cecilia's people who I'm friends with now, whose children are in my kids' classes. There's alumni from St. Cecilia's, some of whom I haven't seen in years that have come. That's great. And there's the SI community who's here again. Buddies of mine from SI, from the class of '86 are here. My colleagues from SI have come. Alumni that I haven't seen in a while from SI are also here. There's even some Reardon and SH guys here. And then there's Barry Sullivan. I'm not sure what category. I mentioned Barry. So that really means a lot to me. I'm especially thankful to my closest friends who have put this whole event on. I think when we first started planning it, it was going to be 20 or 30 people at the Parkside Tavern. And then it turned into this. Did we mention the winner of the raffle? Parkside Tavern donated a gift certificate for dinner. It was in one of the books. That book was bought by SI class of '86 member Bartley Davey. So yeah, it turned into something bigger, and but I'm happy. It's very nice. We sold some books. Bernie Orsi, of course, came up to me and said, "You're lucky it wasn't a book on F and economics." Considering we've sold out. So just on the book in general, I haven't named the people I wanted to thank. Matt Miller, Dan Burke, and Paul DiMartini, who supplied all the wine for tonight. John Ring, who knows how to put on an event and did such a great job with getting this whole room put together. Thomas McEwen, who he doesn't mind kind of just doing the behind-the-scenes stuff, and he's done everything, and he actually helped me write this book too. That's the truth, he did. He told me all the things that he thought were stupid, so I and Brian Kelly and Bobby Gavin from SI also helped put this together. And I think they just handling this guest list was a chore in itself, and it's a great group here. The book itself, before I have the readers, the guest readers come up and give you a couple of scenes from it, actually the idea for it kind of started as germination years ago. I just use germination to sound like a writer. Very pretentious. Back when I was, I probably was about 24 or 25 years old, living with Burke and John Ring and Sam Hensley up on Marview. Some of you probably remember Marview from the Marview Classic 2-on-2 basketball tournament. I still have a scar from Jimmy Lucy throwing in the neighbor's fence. We had a couple of those. But we were living up there, and one day we were watching the news, and a story came on about a couple of guys, I think it was Boston, who had applied for the fire department in Boston and got in, but it turns out that they had put on their application that they were African American, and there was a big kind of a trial that came from it, and lots of discussion on sides of that issue. Well, at the same time we were watching that news story, I was submitting all these terrible novels that Miller was talking about and getting rejected. And somehow in the conversation it came up, well, what if you did that? What if you tried to submit a book as somebody else? I wonder what would happen. And I started writing it and then put it down when I started, well, I actually didn't write it for years after that. I wrote, again, a lot of these other books that nobody liked. And then started trying to write it. It wasn't going anywhere, and then I got the basketball job at SI, which took up so much time. I just put the book down and didn't think about it. But as soon as I stopped, that was 5 years of that story, thinking about it. Where could it go? What could this character do? What could the problems be that he runs into? And when I stopped coaching, I picked it up and wrote, the last 300 pages of it in about 6 months. And funny things were happening as I was writing it. We had an African American president elected, and so that ends up as part of the story. And then this Messerly thing that just came down today, the verdict in the Messerly case came down. There's a chapter on the day that happened is in the book. So that was kind of a strange experience for me to see all these kind of things going as I went through the process. So I guess we'll hear a couple of scenes from it. Matt will introduce our illustrious guest speaker.